welcome back to A Corporate Time. So this gentleman's going to be at Epcot July 2nd and 3rd.
One of our favorite places. We have spent a lot of time at Epcot, and we'll have to pick our guest's brain to see if he's been there before. But on the line with us right now, and at Epcot July 2nd and the 3rd, 3 different shows you can check out throughout the day at Epcot. Jack Hues from Wang Chung is on the line. How you doing, man?
I'm very good. How are you guys?
Really good. Hey, thanks for the time, and we appreciate you being coming from space into the wide world of Zoom. You have made. Hey, do you do a lot of the Zoom and play around with the backgrounds and all of that? Is that like normal to you now that you?
You know, I normally don't, but I'm actually sitting in my car in the car park of a little medieval pub. So I
medieval pub.
We're keeping you from the pub.
Oh God.
You're having a pint and you're like, oh, I gotta go do this American media.
Yeah, you're in there enjoying.
Blowing your vibe here. No, actually, I'm on the space station. So.
You're enjoying a proper British
I go to
pub.
a medieval pub.
A nice pub that's dark and quiet. And you're going in there to be left alone, and then you got 3 stupid Americans that are zooming you to tell some dumb stories and interrupting your pint. We're very sorry.
That's kind of how it is. Yeah.
I know, we know. So, Jack, I'm obsessed with iconic songs that have been heard by billions of human ears.
Well, when you reach massive amounts of people, we kind of obsess on that. And when you become sort of an icon and where songs become even bigger than maybe even the artist, and you have written one of these.
Yeah.
Or a couple of these, but one in particular that I think I've heard a billion times.
And of course we're talking about Everybody Have Fun Tonight, and it's been featured. Me and Daniel were trying to figure out how many different things, we know
pop
Simpsons
culture references
and Frasier. Do you even know, Jack, or how many shows and movies and different other media have used
commercials?
That song?
I have kind of lost count. But if you go to wangchung.com, there's a couple of compilations of all the different clips that we've been in. I'm not sure how up to date it is because there keep being new things added. But it's pretty good just to sort of look through those. There's 2 they're like 3-minute clips, I think. And go and check them out, wangchung.com.
And is it true that when you guys are writing that song that you wanted it to be maybe a bit more like a Hey Jude or like a somber so how did it become the party so you wanted a slower, maybe a little more sad, Everybody Have Fun Tonight, and then it's like the ultimate party song now. So how did you get outvoted on that?
Well, I guess I sort of went, Nick played me the idea first. He came up with this idea of Everybody Have Fun Tonight with the chords, know, and I just heard it as this sort of quite sort of wistful, if only we could all have fun tonight. But then when we were working on it in the studio with our producer Peter Wolf, he was kind of like, this has got to be a party record, and I was like, no, you don't get it. It's got to be a bit ironic. He was like, oh no, Americans don't do irony. So,
they don't do medieval pubs either.
That's a British game.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. Man.
So party record it was,
And what you've done and toured with so many different people. Like I was, we, before guests come on, we obviously go to your social media and we stalk you a little bit. And I couldn't help but notice that you did a really touching tribute to Tina Turner and the fact that she just recently passed away, and you got to actually tour with her. But it was interesting in your Instagram when you were talking about it. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, you didn't really get to see her much, but it was interesting how she came and went, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the first time I was in the same room as her was when we did Top of the Pops, which is a sort of iconic British
legendary show.
And she was singing live on that show. I had to sing live, she had to sing live, and I just remember her voice in the room being like absolutely amazing. But yeah, in '87, I think it was, we were on tour with her, obviously she was playing these huge stadiums, so we were the opening band, and we come and do our sets, and as we sort of came off, I would sometimes see her limo arriving, and she would just go straight into her dressing room, come out and do the set, and then when she came off stage, she'd more or less walk off the stage into the car and back to the hotel. So she very much kept herself to herself in those days.
That's a different.
And I think that's probably how she retained her sanity.
Sure, yeah, she was very private, and also one of those things. It's like when you're that level of fame, maybe that's an easier way to do it. Just get off stage, get in the limo.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's not that I would know, but
well, but I mean, you
no,
would know. I mean, you
keeping things on the rails. You do have to sort of keep your privacy intact.
Yeah, for sure.
Jack, I heard in another interview you did about like, no one ever thinks about the amount of time that you have to sit around and wait for you to get on stage and rehearsal and all the just hurry up and wait there is when you go on tour. And I found it interesting because, people see their favorite band on stage and they're like, look how fun how much fun they're having. But it's like, that's such a small part of touring. And the rest of the time is travel and sit around and
also
wait.
trying to write new songs.
Doing interviews outside of a pub.
Sitting outside of medieval pubs with sunglasses on.
No, it's true. I think Charlie Watts of the Stones said something like, being in a band is, 1 year of playing and 40 years of waiting or something. Probably not even that much playing.
that is absolutely true. That is so crazy. Now, one thing that I didn't know today before we started stalking you and really, digging in is I didn't know that you use like an entertainment name. I didn't know that you have a God-given name and then you have, your Jack Hues name. And how do you go about, because I've always wondered this. I use my real name in entertainment. Tom, he had a pseudonym for a while, but no, you use your real name now. But how do you decide what name you want to use?
It just came up in a conversation with a friend, like all these things that suddenly become like Wang Chung, really. It's like, it seemed like slightly just like a whimsical little joke idea at the time, but then you're stuck with it, and everybody knows you as that. And the same with Jack Hues. A friend of mine, this was back in sort of like the punk days, I guess, 77, 78, and he was saying, Joe Strummer and Johnny Rotten and all these names, and he said Jack Hues would be funny because he was thinking of the French Jack Hues, so he thought it was a bit pretentious, but but maybe you could get away with that as an artist, so I thought, okay, so I wrote a song called I'm Jack Hues, and the drummer in the band at the time said, that's going to be your name from now on, because Jeremy is not a great name if you're in a punk band.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, you need something a little more blunt. Yeah, like Jack Hues sounds very much like a punk band. Like you got your guitar, white T-shirt, you're ready to rock.
So exactly, Jack is easier to say and relate to, and also I think. I guess I sort of developed a bit of an alter ego, really, so there's Jack Hues, who can deal with being on stage and all that stuff, and Jeremy Ryder, who probably stays a bit more quiet and in the background.
I think that's cool,
maybe it's the other way around.
I think that's cool, though, because I think in splitting that, like, I don't know, my therapist that I'll go to this afternoon will tell me it's pretty good to compartmentalize certain things, you don't necessarily need it all blending together. So maybe you taking and having a rock and roll side and then having a privacy side is, I said privacy because you're British. I don't know why I did that. I just slapped my cheeks like, what the hell is wrong with me? But you know what I mean. I think that's very, very cool, man, that you're able to do that.
Yeah. I think back in the day it was really useful, actually, because the success in the 80s was quite an onslaught, and I think it's a lot to sort of deal with, and I think having a kind of an alter ego was a great way of dealing with it. Actually.
How did your song Space Junk end up on the pilot for Walking Dead? Because you're all over all the Walking Dead stuff, and did they contact you? Were you a fan of the show? Like, how did that end up happening?
It's just one of those things that came out of the blue, rather like To Live and Die in LA,
Right.
We weren't soliciting, doing a movie at all at that time, but Bill Friedkin, the director of To Live and Die in LA, and of course Billy directed The Exorcist and The French Connection, he just got in touch with us literally out of the blue and said he was working on this movie To Live and Die, and he would love us to do the soundtrack. And I just said yes to it without really thinking about it.
Well, it's Friedkin.
But
like,
with the Space Junk,
yeah.
I think Frank Darabont, who developed the show, he said we heard through the grapevine that he just loved that track. And it's quite an obscure track of ours. It was on a Greatest Hits album that came out in 1997, I think. But for whatever reason, he'd got that track. And he said he always heard the conclusion of the first episode of The Walking Dead would have that music, and he sort of constructed the scene around it.
You can go
so
watch
again,
it
we're
on
just
YouTube.
very fortunate that these guys hear something kind of cinematic, I guess, in the movies or something that triggers their imaginations, and and so it goes.
It's very iconic too. If you want to see it, you can go to YouTube and you can type in Space Junk Walking Dead, and it'll pop right up and show you it in the scene, and you can see how like powerful the music works, and it just works perfectly. I thought that was really cool that you guys got to be in something that is truly like cinematic history now. That's like TV
absolutely.
history.
Yeah. No, that's something we'll be playing at Epcot when we're playing there. We do it live,
there you
and
go.
it's a cool song to do live, actually.
I bet, and then people will notice it because as soon as I heard it on YouTube, I'm like, oh, I know this because this is so iconic.
Yeah,
Jack, I got one more question for you, and then I promise we'll let you get back to the pub.
Yeah, we got to get this guy. We got to get him we got to get him a pint.
Yeah.
So
that beer's getting warm.
Is it true, Jack, that there's a difference backstage between UK festivals and festivals in the United States?
I guess I think the festivals in the US are friendlier. In the sense that the bands mingle much more, and you wander into other people's dressing rooms, with a bit of notice.
Sure.
And whereas in the UK, people tend to sort of keep themselves to themselves very much. Yeah.
Huh. Well, I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that there would be any difference, or like the artists are like all keeping themselves in the UK.
And our British listeners that we have, and we have a lot of them, are like some of the sweetest. There's like the sweetest people we know. They come and they visit. They come to the studio and stuff. So I don't think it's a friendliness thing, but maybe just a more private. I don't know. What do you think that is?
I think it is English reserve. I think that's what it is. English reserve.
Yeah. Well, like you don't want to bother anybody, so you're just, I'll keep to myself.
It all comes back to privacy, right?
Well, or maybe it's just me that does that.
Well, hey, Jack, thank you so much for the time. We can't wait to see you at Epcot. Enjoy your time
really
in Orlando.
Yeah, July. And thank you guys for making the time for me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Really, really cool to talk to you. Anytime we get a chance to talk to like a music legend. Look, we'll be here July 2nd and 3rd. Wang Chung, they're going to be playing at Epcot. Go see them, and hey, go get that pint and enjoy your medieval pub. Okay.
I will do. See you guys later. Have a good day.
Take care, sir. Be good. That's really cool.
When it comes down to like everybody have fun tonight, we keep talking to these legendary musicians that have come up with these songs that are so. And I feel like
what's it got on Spotify right now?
Like, are songs created now gonna have that long of a life, or is there just too much?
They already don't, but there will be some that do.
There will be some that do.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like there was a sweet spot in time where these songs, or maybe it's just because my
as
age,
well, it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit. There's more options now. There's more musicians now. There's more songs out
more
now.
More ways to release. I mean,
it's going to be harder to have something as huge and have the numbers that these kind of songs.
It becomes like a Beatles thing again. But if you look at it right now, as it sits, 1986, off the album Mosaic, Wang Chung, Everybody Have Fun Tonight. 34,934,472 plays. So not bad.
And I feel
and that resets. That's like this month.
With all the other shows and movies it's been in and commercials, I'm sure.
I think Carnival Cruise Line gave it a million plays or something. Papa John's is like like Burger King.
Was there a Wang Chung dance? Because it's Everybody Have Fun Tonight, Everybody Wang Chung Tonight.
Oh, you're thinking Dance All Days is the other big hit they had.
Well, no, I'm thinking
Dance All Day Long.
Because when you say Everybody Wang Chung Tonight, it's like you're doing a dance.
That was an ad-lib he just said, and then they told him to keep it in.
Yeah.
So it didn't mean anything.
No, he was just saying, he was just promoting his band.
I know.
No, I don't think there was an actual dance.
No, I thought Society would create a Wang Chung dance.
No,
so then when
this is not like the Bartman.
No. But think about it, like when they're
the Bartman.
When they're playing that song, they're like, all right, this is the Wang Chung.
Why don't we invent it? We can invent the Wang Chung.
You think it's like the safety dance?
Look up Wang Chung dance.
I did. It's not a thing.
Maybe it's racist.
It's not a thing.
The only thing that comes up is Dance All Day.
Is it the racist thing where you do your eyes?
Well,
that's the Wang Chung. Don't do the Wang Chung. You'll be arrested.
All right, we will be.
Hold on. We gotta. Let's give it 6.
Okay.
Let's give it 6.
We don't have to do a full 20. We can do it anytime we want. It doesn't even matter.
We can do whatever we want.
I'm joking. All right.
We'll be right back.
All right. Great job.
I just figured we end
Wednesday 3.
He was nice.
Yeah, he was.
I loved that he had the sunglasses on in space. He's like, outside of a medieval pub. What the hell?
It made me laugh. I'm like, great. He wants to get out of here.
He was the best one. He was in and out.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, Wang Chung tonight. I'm out of here. Do we have anything for Wednesday?
No, but I will need intros for tonight and tomorrow.
Next Wednesday, I'm guessing?
Yes, the 28th.
28th. Move it.
I'm putting the link to Wang Chung singing Hot in Here by Nelly in the Twitch chat.
It's not bad. They could have done far worse.
Pretty good.
Oh, I messed this up. Ah, Daniel. Okay. Now we're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you
Have a great rest